Dr. Cornel West pleads for peace while RFK Jr. calls for more violence and bloodshed in Israeli-Palestinian conflict. My name's Tim Black, and in this video, we're going to talk about the stark difference between Dr. Cornel West's stance on Palestinians and the violence that's taken place there and the escalation that recently took place, and RFK Jr.'s stance, which is a world of difference here. If you enjoy this content, subscribe to this channel. I'm the foremost reporter of Dr. Cornel West's campaign to the presidency. So just in, according to Al Jazeera, there's been an escalation in conflict resulting in 232 Palestinians being killed by Israeli forces. According to Al Jazeera, over 200 Israelis were killed by Hamas fighters. And this all stems, according to Al Jazeera, brutality of Israeli settlers on Palestinians as well as attacks on Palestinian mosques. I want to show you the difference in advocacy and diplomacy of RFK Jr., who's running as an independent, we think, and Dr. Cornel West, who's also running as an independent. Here goes Dr. Cornel West calling out RFK Jr.'s stances as regards to Israelis and Palestinian conflict, and what Dr. West says is a real issue with RFK Jr.
But what sits at the center of it is, I think, the intimate relation of domestic policy with foreign policy, so that the critique of empire, the anti-imperial policies go hand in hand with the critique of corporate power at home. We ain't pushing the Palestinians under the bus. I know a lot of people crazy about brother RFK Jr., and I love the brother. He's just wrong on a whole host of issues, and I think he's out downright cowardly when it comes to Palestinians. And I can say that in love to the brother. You're not just wrong, that's cowardly, man. You don't have the courage to tell the truth about a slice of humanity whose humanity is being crushed. But these are indivisible. They go hand in hand.
Dr. West makes a broad point here. What I take from it is, if RFK didn't have the heart, the courage to support Palestinians, does he have the heart and courage to support us? Will he cave when it's time to support us? Will he have our back? All right, so here goes RFK Jr., his tweet on Twitter X, in his response to the Palestinian conflict with Israel just today.
This ignominious, unprovoked, and barbaric attack on Israel must be met with world condemnation and unequivocal support for the Jewish state's right to self-defense. We must provide Israel with whatever it needs to defend itself now. As president, I'll make sure that our policy is unambiguous so that the enemies of Israel will think long and hard before attempting aggression of any kind. I applaud the strong statements of support from the Biden White House for Israel in her hour of need. However, the scale of these attacks means it is likely that Israel will need to wage a sustained military campaign to protect its citizens. Statements of support are fine, but we must follow through with unwavering, resolute, and practical action. America must stand by our ally throughout this operation and beyond as it exercises its sovereign right to self-defense.
Now stack that up against Dr. Cornel West's response.
The escalation of the barbaric violence in the Middle East must stop. The vicious Israeli occupation and the ugly Palestinian retaliation results in the killing of precious innocent people on both sides. We must have a lasting peace based on justice. Hashtag truth, justice, love. Hashtag Israel, hashtag Palestine.
And here goes a Cornel West 2024 press release put out this morning as well. The statement made by the Cornel West campaign is so strong, I'm just hoping that you sit through it to get the full effect of what Dr. West is advocating and how it's totally different than not only RFK Jr., but Joe Biden and everybody else in this race, be they Republican or Democrat.
Statement from Cornel West. For President, Dr. Cornel West calls for immediate cessation of violence in the Holy Land and for an end to the illegal occupation of Palestinians. Urges Western colonial powers to be conscious of their rhetoric and to push for peace, not war. Saturday, October 7, 2023, New York City. Independent presidential candidate Dr. Cornel West today urged for peace in the Holy Land upon learning about the situation in Palestine and Israel that has already left hundreds dead and many more people injured. For this to occur on the Jewish Sabbath, On the day when the festival of Sukkot reaches its conclusion and Jewish siblings around the globe celebrate Simchat Torah, the joy associated with their holy book is heartbreaking and a call for global action, said Dr. West. He continued, until the global community holds up the value of precious Palestinian lives in line with the value of precious Jewish lives, this violent cycle of death and destruction will continue unabated. Dr. West called for an immediate cessation of all violence, including violent rhetoric uttered by certain Western nations. He stated, Western nations and colonial powers from right here in the United States to the European Union must be conscious of their language as this situation unfolds. We need not allow our words to act as fuel to exacerbate a fire that's been burning for too many decades. He added, President Biden and other world leaders must spend less time conjuring a fog of war with subjective and violent vernacular associated with who does and who doesn't have the right to defend themselves, and more time evoking a language of love and dignity for all people involved. A well-known Christian with roots in liberation theology, Dr. West called on the global community to immediately commence a discussion that will end the war between Israel and Palestine once and for all. We all desire to manifest the beautiful scripture of Isaiah 2:4. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more, Dr. West declared, adding, however, this will not be a reality until Israel and Western nations understand that the pathway to and for peace in the Holy Land must be parallel with a pathway to and for liberation and dignity for Palestine. Dr. West offered his prayers, his love, and his condolences for the lives lost and injured, and his hopes for immediate and lasting de-escalation initiatives.
Just imagine for a second if we had an advocate like this in the White House, advocating from a moral standpoint on issues of conflict between nations. Not somebody who's just worried about donors and worried about special interest groups, maintaining some type of allegiance to barbarism around the globe, conquering coups and overturning of governments. Just imagine if Dr. Cornel West could continue this type of advocacy and do so with actual power. Wielding power as well, that would be an amazing thing. Look, guys, this is about, of course it's about Dr. West's campaign, but it's also about just moral, right? Morality, ethics. And RFK Jr. just cannot be the candidate for you if you value Palestinian lives. It just isn't. It just can't be unless you're a hypocrite. So it's basic, it's pretty simple, man. And I hate to put it to you like this, but it's like, yo, either you support Palestinian lives and support Dr. Cornel West, or you don't support Palestinian lives. I got a feeling Dr. Cornel West is the only candidate in this election that's supporting Palestinians to this extent. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that. And to the earlier point that Dr. Cornel West was making on my show. The cowardice that RFK displays here on Palestinians, it's a bad sign for anybody counting on him to do anything for disadvantaged people, black people, any marginalized people at all when it comes to truly standing up. Because if you can't call out a problem across the globe in Israel and say, hey, we need to end this war, we need to end this conflict. If you just pile on and pick a side in the middle of a fight and say, this person's hitting this person, and you don't even care to get it right and say, well, that's because I'm looking now, but if I would look 10 minutes earlier, I'd see the person who was punching got punched earlier. If you don't have that wherewithal, which I know you do, it's just that you're being hypocrite, disingenuous. How can we count on a guy like that or a woman like that, anybody like that, to have our backs when we need them here domestically? I don't think you can. So you keep electing people that you know will not stand up for you. You know they have no backbone. when it comes to others, and then you'd be surprised that they don't have backbone when it comes to you? I thought RFK was against ending the conflict in Ukraine. How can you be against ending war in Ukraine and be rattling the saber war, the fans of war in Israel? No consistency. So, I just hope people that saw Cornel West's tweet also get his press conference that is a lot more, or his press release, I should say, which is a lot more characters. The Twitter comment was short, to the point. The press release had a little bit more meat on the bone, so I hope people read that. Look, guys, it's very clear. If you want to support Dr. Cornel West, go to cornelwest2024.com. If you want to support this channel, go to jointimblack.com. Become a member of this independent media channel as we go through the campaign with Dr. Cornel West. Whether Dr. West is an independent, a Green Party member, or a member of the People's... He's still Dr. Cornel West. Same West. All right. That's it. I'm Tim Black. Remember, don't let nobody take your cornbread. And when they say, yo, why do you support Dr. Cornel West? You tell them, it's a new day. That's why.